Can you break barriers as immigrants to not only survive, but thrive as industry trailblazers? You'll see in the next 30 minutes. Hi, welcome to You Belong Here, the place to be for positive stories of immigrant women from all around the world. I'm Portia Chen Silverberg. I was made in Taiwan. This show is brought to you by the You Belong Here Foundation, which is committed to ignite meaningful conversations and deepen compassion in our community. You're about to hear from some inspiring women sharing their successes, challenges, and how they are living meaningful American dreams. Stay a while and pick up some tips on how you too can live your own American dreams. Today, you will meet Nuria Fernandez and Anita Menwani. Nuria was born in Panama. As the GM and CEO of Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, Nuria believes in providing success in jobs, opportunities for all members of the community so they too can realize their dreams. She strongly believes that no labels define her, no box contains her, and that she is enough. Born in India, Anita is a successful executive and a serial entrepreneur. Anita serves on the County Workforce Board, is a founding trustee for Ashoka University and the Woodrow Wilson Graduate School for the Science of Teaching and Learning, an MIT venture. She has been recognized nationally and in Silicon Valley for her leadership in technology. Nuria, Anita, welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Portia. This is an honor to be here with you.
Thank you. This is such a great reunion because we're all three of us are senior fellows of American Leadership Forum. That's where we met. Yes. And it feels so special to have Anita, who was in my class, join us. And Nuria, we met at an ALF function, and both of you have just been, like I said in the opening, such impressive trailblazers. Both of you have come from industries where it's really more male-dominated. Yes. And here you are. You are major powerhouses in Silicon Valley. I mean, truly, I was reading both of your bios, and if I were to read all your accomplishments, we'd be here for the next 20 minutes. Oh. So I couldn't get it all in. But let's hear a little bit about your journey. So let's start with you, Nuria. Panama.
Yes, Panama.
Wow.
Well, Portia, it's my journey has been one that, as I think back to the very beginning, it's hard to even believe how far I've come. You know, we don't take the time because we keep moving forward. Yes. So yes, I was born and raised in Panama, Central America. And my great-grandfather migrated from Jamaica to Panama to help build a canal.
Oh, wow.
And he met my grandmother, and her mother had migrated from Portugal. So it was just an amazing union that started a whole family, couple generations in Panama. I was very fortunate that both of my parents worked for the U.S. Department of Defense. At the time, the Southern Command was based in Panama, so all 4 branches of the U.S. military were there. Wow. They were civilians working for the U.S. government, and that gave me an opportunity to have a middle-class environment that I grew up in. And my dad, when it was time to go to college, he said, I don't want you to study here. I want you to go back to the U.S. I wanted to go to UCLA. That was my dream. Wow. But ended up in Bradley University in Peoria, which was absolutely fantastic. So yes, it's been a wonderful journey. but always the only woman or one of the few in the room. I'm a middle child. I have two brothers, so it was always very competitive in my house. The men outnumbered the women. And then I go off to college, and it's just a handful of us in my engineering school. So we banded and we formed this very strong network that to this day we still stay in touch.
Wow, that's wonderful. There's something so special about friendship with women, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
We are a support system for each other, and we are sisters from a different mother.
Yes, we are.
And it really helps, especially for overachieving, successful women like you. It really does help to have the support of like-spirited female sisterhood, right?
Absolutely. Can't agree more. I mean, I realized when I first started out in my career, you're so busy running and doing, you don't spend enough time thinking and thinking inward and introspecting, or spending the time on the relationships with your friends, because you're a young mother, you're a new wife, and you've got this very, very busy career. So I have learned over the years to really appreciate my friends and appreciate the sisterhood that comes with it.
That's wonderful. Now, both of you came to the U.S. as adults, right? But neither one of you had the struggle with English, because both of you knew how to speak English fluently before you came.
Yes. You know, as a matter of fact, I was very fortunate. My brothers and I went to a private school that had been started by Methodist missionaries. So from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, English was taught as a second language.
Oh, wonderful.
So we had, throughout those 12 years, wonderful opportunity not only to learn the language phonetically, grammatically, be able to write.
Wow.
And so it was easier for me as a newcomer to the U.S. To integrate. I could understand what was being said, and I could certainly understand the culture.
Were there any challenges, like to learn about local slangs or? You know?
And the slangs, maybe not so much the slangs, but you know, we have this perception that everything is always the same, and it's not so true. I went to school for college in Peoria, Illinois. It's a city in the center of Illinois. It's not Chicago.
Right.
So clearly the culture, the environment there is much different. It's very rural. That's the headquarters of Caterpillar.
Oh, wow.
And so it was much more rural, and so it's a different pace. If I had gone to Chicago, it would have been a little more similar to Panama, because I grew up in the city, in the capital of the country. So that I would have been used a different cadence. But going to a rural area where things are a little slower, and there's one bus an hour, and you just have to move with the flow. So there was adjustments. There was adjustments, and of course people thought I had an accent, and I felt that they too had an accent. But other than that, I thought it was good to be in a different place, learning different things. And I've always been curious about people and their backgrounds. So I was perfectly situated.
Now tell us a little bit about this picture that you see.
So this is Nuria, my senior year in college. That was many, many moons ago.
So you were already here.
Yes, I was already here. So that was my graduation photo without the cap and gown. That was the professional photo that we then received extra copies so that we could use on our resume as we were trying to figure out what our next steps would be.
Oh, that's nice. If you had an opportunity to speak to that Nuria, what would you tell her to?
I would say to that Nuria, to my younger self, that you should always take risk, because I think it's so important to make that choice, to see what's on the other side, and not let fear paralyze you, not let a feeling of not belonging or not having a support system stop you from realizing your dreams. And
were you concerned at all when you came here by yourself?
You know.
Right? I mean,
now that I think about it, I thought, wow, she was brave. Right? I had one friend. He was a family friend studying at the same university, but he was already a junior I was coming in as a freshman, so of course he helped at the very beginning, but then off he went with his friends.
Right.
So I had to start. I had no family in that community, and
Couldn't
my
have
parents
been
were
easy.
thousands of miles away.
Yeah,
back in
could
Panama.
not have been easy. So risk-taking, that would be the first tip.
Yes,
right?
risk-taking, and then resiliency also, because things are not always going to go the way that we hope, and we need to be able to adapt, adjust, but never, never steer away from our own values and our morals.
And you too, Anita, you came here for school as well.
I did. I came to do my PhD, and which I didn't finish. But I left home when I was 19 and a half and came to the US. It was my first plane ride. I was the daughter of a railroad engineer, and the picture you see there is the home that I grew up in for the first 6 years of my life before we moved to the big bad city of Mumbai. And that's where
So
I spent most of my time, and up to when I did my undergraduate. And
where is this from?
so every summer, I was very fortunate. Every summer, my parents would take us up into the hills and to enjoy the cooler temperatures. And so this was horseback riding in Nainital, which is in northern India, in Himachal Pradesh.
So how old were you there?
Oh boy, so I think I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
8 years old.
So very young lady, and if you have a chance to talk to that Anita, what would you say to her? And this little one, look how
That's
precious.
adorable.
That's the determined picture, and and I think I would say you're one hell of a lucky girl. Because I really truly feel blessed. I feel blessed that my parents were willing to send me off to the US because that's what I wanted to do. I had long conversations about wanting to go and study and pursue my graduate studies in America. And my father, of course, and mother were very keen that I get married. But that wasn't, I wasn't ready, and I think that they were fantastic in terms of letting me, spread my wings and pursue my dreams. And I think most importantly, I feel that the US has been so kind to me. I don't think I would have gotten the opportunities in any other country that I would have moved to the way I did here. I mean, just, the ability and being in the Valley, I mean, the ability to work in places like NASA Ames Research Center, to work at Hewlett-Packard, to be mentored by, phenomenal people who gave me opportunities. And I just feel very blessed for that. And I feel very blessed that I was guided along the way. HP is a company that believed in giving back. So the minute they realized your potential as a leader, you started getting mentored that you needed to become a leader, not just at the workplace, but a leader in your community. And that was my first introduction to voluntary work. And I pretty soon realized that what really made me very happy was giving back, and giving back in the field of education, creating more access, and doing my little bit. I could hardly be creating it. There were so many people ahead of me who had paved the path, and also in areas related to women empowerment. So I was smiling as I heard you say, Nuria, about the English, because I too grew up in missionary schools, and English was my first language that we were taught in English. So that was a blessing. It made life a lot easier. So when I first landed up in graduate school in Cincinnati, Ohio, I was told by one of my buddies, she said, "You speak good English." And it didn't even occur to me when I said, "So do you." and I love that. So, I was just young, brash, and not particularly thoughtful when I said that, because I should have realized what she meant. And
I love it. I love that.
Well, I can tell you, I too agree that coming to the United States was the best decision that my parents made for me at the time, and that I certainly recognize today, because I would have not had near the opportunities that I have experienced here. The doors that have opened, the people who have taken me under their wing to mentor me. When I decided to study civil engineering, I knew that there were not going to be a whole lot of women in that field. And having men say to me, you have so much potential, and we are going to make sure that you're successful.
Wow.
That in itself was great. That was power.
Wow.
Very, very powerful. Most of my mentors in the early days were all men. There weren't women who were in positions to mentor. They were all still trying to get their footing on that ladder of opportunity. And then, so having someone else say, yes, you too can be part of this dream, because that dream is available to everyone who live in this land.
Oh,
so that was just great, and I am ever so grateful for that. And because of that very same reason, I think it's so important to give back. I do believe in volunteering at all levels. I believe in, if you have a passion for something, just see it through, because it makes you a better person. It gives you the type of energy, and it helps frame your path going forward.
I love
Even at
that.
work, if I did not have the engagement that I have with my church and my community, I don't think that I would be as effective as a leader.
Wow, that is so important. And I think we have another picture we would love to hear about. What that? Tell us about this.
So this was back, I think it was 1999. When I was working at the Federal Transit Administration at U.S. Department of Transportation. I was a political appointee under Bill Clinton, President Clinton, and in his second go-around, second term, I was asked to come and work at Federal Transit as a deputy administrator.
Wow.
And then a couple years later, I was nominated to be the administrator for that department. So that was the announcement in the trade magazine, the American Public Transportation Association's trade magazine, Passenger Transport.
You know, I'm serious. We can sit here talk to both of you about your professional accomplishments for days. And I think we have another picture that we would love to hear about.
Oh my God, yes. This year, it was this past January, the Center for University Transportation Centers, and that is the whole coalition of universities that have transportation centers, gave me an award. And this was the Lifetime Achievement Award because of my lifetime.
Feels like you're too young to be receiving
contributions in the transportation field. And it was absolutely a distinct honor and pleasure to receive that award, given all of the other luminaries that I was joining that had received it before me.
So I kind of like to go back to, if a young woman is watching right now and she's at the beginning of her career, to hear stories like yours, and you're a CEO of your own company after having a very successful career in computer science and tech. So both of you, you're really at the top of your career. You're at the pinnacle, and you have so many great accomplishments. But for someone who's just starting out, who may be on her own, right, who came here from their homeland and here for college like both of you did. And both of you actually did not start out in somewhere like the Bay Area, where there's so many, so much diversity and different people, you know, from all around the world. So what would you say to that young woman watching you? Because from where you are, you have made it, both of you. But it seems, for someone just starting, it may seem like so far away to get there,
yes,
right?
Yes.
That's so true.
Yeah.
You know, I think that the first thing that I would say is work hard and don't see yourself as being different. Don't see yourself as being different or less, but work hard also at integrating. I came to the US at a time where there was no diversity even in the Valley. So I was very focused on blending in. I never wore an Indian outfit ever outside of my home. And actually, I don't feel bad about that.
Right.
It was then, and that was the time.
Sure.
And so you did what you had to in order to fit in. I couldn't change the color of my skin or
That's
change
right.
the color of my hair.
Right.
But I didn't have to wear my ethnicity all the time in my ways. So I really did make a lot of effort to be sure that I was integrating at all points. I went and played, I joined the baseball league at NASA Ames
Oh,
Research Center,
wow.
where I worked for a while. And I have a broken pinky to show for it. It's kind of really understanding the system. And I heard you, Portia, at another show talking about volunteerism and how popular it is. And how, and not popular just in terms of being a fad, but it's part of the American ethos. And so that's something that I really did take to. So, it's just integrating. And then for me, the other thing is that for a young person, have fun. There's so much to do here and so much to have fun about. So,
Well, I would, and I agree with everything you've said, Anita. I do believe, and this is something that I was able to apply because someone recommended that I do this, is every time there was an opportunity, if there was an opportunity and they asked for who is available to do this, I always raised my hand. Even if I didn't know everything about that, I always said yes. Especially if it looked difficult. Most people would shy away and say, well, I don't want to take on that assignment. But I always said yes. And what it did for me is, maybe not at the moment, I didn't realize how much that contribution and that involvement was going to help me with my career. But interestingly enough, as I progressed through the ladder, there were, going back to those nuggets of things that I picked up, or the people that I met working on those other assignments, helped me as an individual and helped me with my upward mobility. So I would say, don't turn anything down, even if you don't know 100% about it, because it gives you an opportunity to grow, and that's the only way you can learn is through trying new things.
I love it. That is so well said.
So definitely do that. I wanted to be part, but I didn't necessarily feel that I had to give up who I was. And I sought out a lot of opportunities, especially when we were celebrating ethnic diversity and Heritage Month, to bring artifacts from my country, to celebrate the music and the food and the dances. So I spent a lot of time doing that, both when I was in college and then again at every place that I've worked. And as a matter of fact, when I joined the Valley Transportation Authority as the general manager, CEO 6 years ago, I instituted a Heritage Month celebration so that we could celebrate all the ethnicities that are part of my organization, which is almost every part in the world. It works at VTA. And I see it as an opportunity to build relationships and to get to know the people that you work with, not just as people who are processing things, but as human beings who have the same aspirations, the same goals, the same concerns that we have. We just have to learn about these cultures around us because we're all here in one space, one ecosystem.
That's right. Oh, that is so important.
And I think, our workplaces have evolved so much. I mean, I didn't get comfortable with just celebrating diversity until the late 80s. Back in the Valley, because it was very, as an ethnic woman, as somebody who was vertically challenged, it was different. But I think that I absolutely agree with you. Diversity brings success. It brings a better understanding, and I think diversity brings peace and love. And we struggle with that as a society.
Yes, we do.
Not just the U.S., but I'm just talking in the universal terms. We struggle with that.
Yes.
And so I feel that I wouldn't have learned as much about other cultures if I had only been growing up in Bombay. So here I have the opportunity to work, and I worked with people from all over the world, and have been able to share my own experiences. And it's funny how between two human beings from two different parts of the world, there's so much in common. And we all find those commonalities. We did, just sitting while we were waiting.
Well, I think that's part of one of the key ingredients to successfully integrate and feel that sense of belonging, is to, instead of look for differences in other people, is to embrace, celebrate, and be proud of our own difference, but look for the commonality in other people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that's really what we all, commonality,
Right.
is what we can talk about and we can relate to.
Right.
And I think that's why women are so good at just bonding, even if they've only met for the first 10 or 15 minutes.
Right.
Because we can talk about things that are so similar, education and health and professional development.
Right. Right.
And then, of course, throw in the struggles and challenges, right? Because in my case,
Definitely.
and I'll just use an engineering analogy, the road to success for someone like me, I am a Black Latina woman in engineering in a transportation field that's mostly male-dominated. So the road to my success many times seemed like it was always under construction. And I had to take detours. I had to take detours to get back on the straight line.
Right.
So I know that my story is not unique.
Right.
But being able to talk about it then brings out other stories that are very
Right.
similar. And we
Straight
can all
lines.
empathize.
Straight
Right.
lines are overrated, right?
Yes,
Yes.
So there's so much more I want to pull out from you, because you both have so much wisdom. And I think you are the perfect examples of how immigrant woman really equates with excellence. You embody the spirit of resilience, hardworking, optimism, all of that. So unfortunately, as we wrap up, I'm going to ask you then to just complete a sentence. Only an immigrant woman
Is resilient, and only an immigrant woman comes at it with a lot of risk-taking.
Nice.
Yeah. Only an immigrant woman can understand the sacrifice of leaving the known behind to step into the unknown boldly and bravely.
Oh, that's beautiful. We will continue this another time, maybe in the podcast. So thank you so much. And thank you for watching. And now Nuria, Anita, and I would love to hear from you. We talked about so many interesting and amazing things today. I'm curious, what's one thing that resonated with you? What actions are you inspired to take? What's your story? Please leave a comment below. Let's continue the conversation. You Belong Here Foundation is committed to infuse a plethora of positive stories of immigrant women, ignite meaningful conversations, and deepen compassion in our community. I'm Portia Chen Silverberg. Today's production comes to you from Palo Alto, California. Thanks for watching, and remember, you deserve to be seen, be heard, and belong. You belong here.
Thank you.
American. Whether you pray to God or atheist is irrelevant, cause what you got inside is the same as all your brethren. In the troubled and the homeless, can you say everywhere you are is where your home is? Sharing your heart in the dark just like a lotus, letting your light shine bright so you can flow there. Everlasting love of grace like those did Jesus, Muhammad, Krishna, Buddha, and Moses, who carried the weight of the world upon their shoulders. So every time you fall down, go ahead and hold this close to your heart, cause you're a love soldier, and every time